Strategic Hotbox with Dr. Brandi Stankovic. Discussing leadership, business, and how to take control of your life and achieve greatness. From the streets of Las Vegas, energized, informed, and never diluted. It's time to kick some ass.
Hello and welcome. My name is Brandi Stankovic, and for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm an organizational change consultant, and I work with firms all over the world on leadership transitions and strategic planning. But today I get to talk with you, and this is really exciting. And the main reason that it's really exciting is because it's the first ever Strategic Hotbox. And today's episode is called You Gotta Wanna. And being the first episode is pretty cool, and I want you to consider yourself pretty special in this process. This is numero uno, baby, and it's special in regards to the fact that you're a pioneer. You're with me from the beginning. So I've never done this before. The team has never done this before. I mean, this is the first time that we're ever producing and releasing and creating a podcast for you. So I'm excited that you're here with us for episode 1, and thank you for being here, and let's rock and roll. So our podcast is going to be broken up into 3 different sections. We have the learn, the love, and the kick-ass. And what I mean by that, in the learn section, we're going to talk about a business challenge, something I'm seeing in the industry, something I'm seeing with different issues that organizations I work with, or a challenge that you provide, that you send to us and say, hey, this is something that I'm facing. And then in the love section, we're going to talk about connections and relationships and how working with people together can help combat and work with these problems and issues that we're talking about. It also gives us an opportunity to bring in a guest speaker or have a subject matter expert and how these different issues or topics are in their day-to-day and their work and their lines and that they're seeing in their reality. And then in the kick-ass section, I'm going to ask you to go out there and start doing something differently. How many of you have been to a conference or listened to a podcast, been to a class, anything like that, read a book, and when you finish it, you thought to yourself, that is some good shit. That's some good shit. I'm going to do something about that. I'm writing that down. I'm putting that in my notes. I'm going to make something happen. And then you get back into life and you get back into your emails, you get back into work, you get back into whatever, and it completely is gone. Right? The biggest, most important thing that we can do is execute. It's in the execution where differentiation actually occurs. And so the kick-ass section is entirely about you making things happen. And I'm going to try to make it a little easier for you to do that. So today, you gotta wanna. The reason that we wanted to start the podcast series in this frame of you gotta wanna is because it's about business, it's about leadership, but it's also about life. For any of you guys that are trying to make something with your lives, or maybe you're nearing the end of your business career and you wanting to leave a legacy, really, you have to stay engaged. You have to stay up front. It's what I say to my kids. I'm the mommy of 2 little dudes. I call them my beefcakes. They're my baby boys. I'm very lucky. I like to squeeze them and munch on their faces. They're just the loves of my life. But one thing I always say to them, whether they're on the soccer field or they're at home, is I say, look alive, right? Look alive, look up, be aware, pay attention. And I think that is so true as we become adults as well. I mean, not only are we distracted by our technology and things like that, but we really have to engage. We have to choose to live and choose to grow. So you've got to wanna. You have to want this. When it comes to life and leadership and growth and moving forward, it is all about engagement. Yesterday, actually, I spoke had the wonderful opportunity to teach a class for emergency aid of Boulder City. And they are partnering with a Boulder Dam credit union. And we created a adult education financial literacy class. So it's a money management class for the people that use emergency aid to help them just really get a leg up, to help them be better. And in the class just went over some financial basics and then some things that were a bit more savvy because let's face it, not everybody that's struggling with their finances are not aware of financial terminology and not aware of money management techniques, right? There's a lot of us out there that still make a good income and still have a tough time with some of these things. But one of the things that I started the financial literacy session with was this concept of you've got to wanna, right? You really do have to make the choice, because when you choose to make a change, when you choose to do something differently, that's when the real change starts occurring. Right? Because anybody that's listening or watching could do anything they wanted to. I believe that. It's just about making it happen. It's about making it happen. And what is more important really to the longevity of an organization or the longevity of your life or growth or leadership than the engagement of the staff, right? So what do we do about it? How do we get there? The first step, I believe, is really investing in human capital. It's investing in yourself and investing in your people. If you're the kind of person that loves to give for everyone else and you're constantly helping other people, then it's important that you start looking out for number one, right? And then if you're the kind of person that always looks out for number one, then maybe it's time to start paying attention to the people around you. And I think a lot of it depends on where people are in their careers and how they want to leave a legacy, or whether they are emerging and wanting to take over the CEO spot. But if your idea of the HR, HR in your organization is the woman that sits in the lunchroom and in November and basically signs every bit for benefits, it's time to step up your game. If your idea of training is that module that you get sent that you have to go through, click through, like the sexual harassment training or whatever every couple of years, it's time to step up our game, right? There's so much out there that people have a tolerance for and an expectation that people will know, right? And we have to go out and go after it and know things for ourselves. And so investing in that is really important. And that happens from the board of directors all the way down. So making sure the board of directors realize that engagement and employee training and some of this is a long-term investment that won't have an immediate return, right? And it will, of course, have a long-term return. And I urge you to utilize your business partners. And this is from a network standpoint as well. So whether that's a community resource, a business, a chamber of commerce, any sort of network or something that you're involved in, but also maybe your college friends, right? That are out there that are potentially doing different things with their lives. Think about the network that you have, that you've created, that you just haven't tapped into another part of them. So for example, I might have like this drinking buddy, homie that I hang out with, where our primary relationship is based on that. However, they may have this entirely, professional career outside of it that is awesome, that we could be working together. We could be helping build each other's careers, et cetera, or tapping in at least to some of that knowledge. So utilize those relationships. And then one of the biggest pieces in this engagement, whether you're leading a staff in engagement or you're a leader yourself, is I want you to recognize that puppies pee on the carpet. Now go with me with this crazy metaphor. What I mean by that is the energy of a new puppy. Has anybody ever had like a brand new puppy in their house? Well, let me kind of take it back. I had a breezy girl. She was a 16-year-old golden retriever. She was the love of my life. I had her from school onwards, and she went with me, from college and my first house, and then of course, through boyfriends and when I met my husband, and then she was 16 years old. She finally passed away on my birthday. So I was heartbroken. And with that, I impulse purchased a puppy golden retriever. And we call her now our redheaded step dog or something. Her name is Sydney. I love her. She's like 8 now. She's part of the family. Don't get me wrong. But I full on impulse purchased this puppy. And it's hard to go from a dog that knew everything, that sat by my side, that laid her head in my lap, right? To this puppy that ran around and jumped on the couch and ate the side of the house and ate shoes and chewed on everything. It was craziness. And I thought to myself, whoa, I was like overwhelmed by the energy of this puppy. Now, let me relate it back to organizations. I will work with an organization that'll say to me, I want young, fresh energy. I want somebody in here that's a mover and a shaker. And then we'll hire that person. And then the second they get in there, they're like, oh, get this person. Just calm them down, would you? Please calm them down. And I think to myself, be ready. Recognize that puppies pee. Puppies run around. Puppies eat shoes. That's what they do, right? And if you invest in the puppies, just like the old dog, right? Someday those puppies will be CEO. And I think that sometimes the shock that we have with the energy of people, puppies, new energy, fresh people coming in, we can be put off by it. And rather what I'm saying to you is what you've got to do is train the puppy. And I think that that's an essential part of any business, is having these emerging leaders, whether you are one, and recognize and ask the question, will someone mentor me? Will someone train me? Can I be a part of this? Volunteer for things, or the vice versa, having the tolerance to say, okay, I got to sit down and recognize that I'm going to take the time to train the puppy. The final kind of piece in this is the idea of cross-pollinating. And what I mean by that is capitalize on what you already have. So cross-pollinate, like when bees party hop and they take pollen from place to place, it's like somebody taking their beer with us. Anyway, capitalize on what you've got, the resources that you have. Use those networks that I was talking about. Use the intellectual capital of your existing team if you are in an organization, or of the people that you work with, the people that you have connections with. And don't be afraid of things like lateral business moves, business function moves, in order to get around a roadblock, right? If your boss is not going anywhere, and your growth to the future is through your boss, then don't be afraid to get a lateral position to be able to move around that boss and keep moving forward. And if you're attending conferences or going to different sessions or listening to podcasts, share it with people. We're in a world of sharing. Social media and things, that's all we do is share with one another. So just click share, shoot emails to people. We have a pretty high tolerance for accepting information from other people. And so share the information that you learned. And if you are out there learning and attending conferences, making sure that you're bringing that back and giving that to the team is valuable. It's better use of the money and the time as well. I also challenge you to do things outside your comfort zone. I feel like the older that I get, the more risk averse I get. And in some cases, that's like a duh, right? I mean, some of you guys are like, yeah, whatever. But it's true. Like after you have babies, it gets even worse, right? And sometimes I wonder where the Brandi of years past has gone, and yada, yada. You're with me on my random tangent. But with this piece in that is the idea that challenge yourself to be uncomfortable, because unless you're uncomfortable, you aren't going to grow, right? We have our comfort zone, and then we have outside of that as a learning zone. But when we get outside of our comfort zone, of course, that brings discomfort or being uncomfortable. And so we have to push ourselves into a place of learning. So if you normally attend conferences that are in your genre, start going to things that aren't, right? Start accepting knowledge from other people. Kick some of the habits that you have that aren't getting you to where you want to be. Networking is such an important piece of that. I think that networking is a massive teacher, and really you can learn so much by being around people. So be part of committees and boards. Urge your staff to be part of committees and boards. Networking, getting involved, obviously it creates some sort of peer pressure and challenge. I think that's why the CrossFit phenomenon works. I mean, it's a good workout regimen as well, but my husband does CrossFit, and one of the things that he loves about it is the competitive nature that it creates. So he'll go with the WOD, which I've learned is workout of the day. Look how fancy I am with my CrossFit knowledge. What? But anyway, so he'll go do his workout of the day, and he, I guess, is doing it competitively against other people, and his time will be written up. And he just takes that very seriously. And so that there's energy in that people like to be around people that are doing the things that they're doing and going after things. And so networking and being part of industry, whatever industry that you're in, can create some of that energy for you. And the final piece really in the you gotta wanna is to have a plan, to keep your eye on the prize. Have you ever in single days or whatever, been to a bar or been to some sort of place like that and seen somebody that you thought was hot, a sexy person from across the room, and you lock eyes and you think to yourself, yes, this is happening tonight, or whatever. And if not tonight, you'll work at it for like a couple months and hit them up on MySpace or whatever, you go with me. But the idea that you see somebody and then your eyes on the prize, and no matter what you're doing the rest of the night, whether you go get drinks, you're talking with your friends, you're on the dance floor, no matter what, you've got your eye on the prize. You kind of have an idea of where that person is at all times, maybe working your way there, or at least they're on top of mind. Same is true when it comes to goals in the future and your engagement. You have to focus on the result. Know what it is. Get your eye on the prize, because it keeps you focused and going forward. So all the different activities that you have are working towards that. And really, it could be in some sort of well-defined plan or a life plan. You have to know what you're going after, right? And of course, it's a living will or document. It changes. You can write in pencil and erase it and be flexible, right? Things are going to change. Of course, things will change all the time, but you have to have it there and remain visible and anchor it into the things that you're doing. Make sure that it's there. Otherwise, you aren't going to be focused on what you want to go after. You aren't going to be making things happen. And really, when it comes to your engagement, your own engagement, the things that you're working on as a leader or the engagement of your team, it's important to know what's the end result. What are they working towards? What's the vision? What do I want to make happen? What do I want to get out of this life? I just recently found out this morning, as a matter of fact, that the industry that I work in, a pioneer, a leader in the industry that retired a few years ago, has passed away. And it's heartbreaking. I can't even find words. It almost can't find breath. And it just gives me the chills even talking about it right now. And I think to myself, we only get one chance. We only get one chance. And it's cliche. There's all these different cliches about live life to the fullest and do all these different things. But really, it's so true. We only get the chance to live this life right now. What are we doing about it? So when it comes to this podcast and our future podcasts, we're going to have all these opportunities to chat about how we're going to make things happen and what we're going to work hard together to do. And to lead us into that, or to energize and to get us started, I want to bring in a good friend of mine, Toby Kennedy. He's the Executive Vice President of Montage Insurance Solutions. He's also the CEO of Simpolicy Insurance Solutions. I've had the opportunity to work with Toby. He is an expert on so many things, including regulatory in the insurance industry. I mean, you name it, this guy has got it. So please welcome Toby. Toby, hi, how are you?
Hey, Brandi, I'm wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm excited that you're here. So tell me, based on all the transitions, I'm sure you're seeing a lot of transitions of the businesses that you work with.
Sure.
What are some things that organizations should be kind of keeping in mind, or what can they do in regards to this to better themselves?
Yeah, well, first of all, I got to tell you, I love all your work, and I'm happy and proud to be here. But I love that puppies pee on the carpet story from a moment ago. So in addition to continuing to listen to your podcast and your pearls of wisdom and roping in the puppies peeing on the podcast or on the carpet thing, I'm a big culture guy. I think that. When I look at different organizations, and you correctly mentioned that, we're deeply involved in, call it 100 organizations, large and small, national, international, public, private, privately held, or even nonprofit. I mean, just all sorts of different organizations. And I think that one thing that really, really legitimately separates groups is when they can have an ardent culture that they really follow well, that's important from the top down. And I mean, at the end of the day, for me, a company isn't a thing. A company isn't tangible. It's that group of individual human beings that have gathered in that spot that stand under that umbrella. So it's just a bunch of different people. And you need to look at it kind of in that granular level so that you can take those people and try to change hearts and minds a little bit so that we're all singing from the same song sheet. And then I think a company forms, an organization forms, an ethos forms. And that, I think, has been a real thread through what I've seen organizations be successful.
And in the organization, because since you have such a diversity in the clients that you work with, and you have diversity in your organizations that you lead, how do you create that cohesion? What are some strategies that you do to do that? And I know I'm going a little off of the questions that I sent you, but you're good on the fly, right? I mean,
I'm great on the fly. I was told I can swear, so that's really the only reason I came on. No. To be honest with you, as I mentioned a moment ago, Brandi, it's not lip service when I say that we're fans of yours, and I'll say that I've taken a couple things from you and from coming to your seminars, not the least of which you just mentioned a moment ago, which is if you send an executive level person, or really anybody to a seminar or a podcast or any type of learning environment, they should bring something tangible back. They should bring something back to the team. Number one, they learn more when they're paying attention to such a degree that they know they're going to have to teach something later. But number two, the rest of the organization that perhaps missed the message can have something come back. So for example, we were fortunate enough to have you speak at one of the Montage events. Montage actually owns what's called the My HR Summit series. We produce 10 to 15 events per year. We get wonderful speakers from all over, and you're one example of a fine pedigree of speakers. And when you came out, I attended personally. And one thing we took away from you was the idea of a town hall meeting. We loved that everybody should get a voice, and we set a date. You came and spoke to us towards the end of a calendar year, and we set a date for early January. And a lot of issues came up between when you spoke with us and that town hall meeting, and sort of the drumbeat around the organization came, oh, great comment, great idea, jot that down, let's bring it to the town hall, bring it to the town hall, bring it to the town hall. So for a while, everybody was really excited, palpably excited throughout the hallways to bring something to the town hall. And out of that, we had multiple people who had underutilized talents, to again, your point earlier, and we sort of shifted their job titles, their job responsibilities. We really diced up the job descriptions and moved stuff side to side towards different departments or different people. And our organization just hummed along fantastically from that point. So that, I think, is one tangible takeaway, kind of on a macro level, to bring stuff back from events that you attend, to your point. And then sort of most specifically, the one thing that we did bring back from yours was that idea of just giving absolutely everybody an opportunity. Everybody check your ego at the door. We're just talking about workflow. It's not personal that, Tom in accounting is always the bog down, right? What we need to do is not blame Tom. We need to look at workflow and job descriptions and things like that. So that was a wonderful, wonderful organizational improvement that I also think I would tether some culture enhancement to that as well, because everybody got a chance to speak. Everybody felt valued. It turned into lots of laughs and jokes and things like that. So those are also bonding moments as well as improvements to your organization.
And so maybe that kind of played into it. What is your takeaway for the listeners? What's one thing, the people that are watching, that they could go implement based on your experience and some of the things that you offer businesses?
Sure. Yeah. So as not to be redundant, I would say that one other tangible takeaway that we've done at our organization that I think ties a ribbon around some of the stuff we're talking about was we did an all-staff meeting, and we asked people to tape sheets of paper to their chest with 5 interesting facts about them that maybe other people didn't know. And so a large portion of the beginning of the staff meeting was devoted to walking around, reading these fun facts, unpacking them, learning a little bit more about your coworkers.
How cool is that?
It was really cool. My first fact was that I'm a huge Brandi Stankovic fan.
Oh,
but I think everybody already knows that about me. So, but no, I think that it was that's a fun, silly, easy way for an organization to start attempting to break down some culture, maybe barriers that might be there, and maybe build them back up a little bit stronger.
Excellent. Well, it's good to see your face. I'm excited. Thank you for taking time. And I know that you're in between meetings right now, so you're in the field making things happen. So
That's
what
right.
a way to kick ass yourself. So I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Hey, Malia Heimbuck here. Coming to you from the College World Series, letting you know you're listening to my girl Brandi Stankovic on the Strategic Hotbox. Right on!
It's great seeing Malia there at the College World Series, and thank you again to Toby for being here as our guest. Malia just sent us that video shout out just last week. I mean, the College World Series just finished last week, and she was witnessing, I think, Coastal Carolina win the title there. If you ever want to send us a shout out, please do, and you can visit the strategichotbox.com for more information. We'd love to see where you're at in the field and say hello to us here at the Strategic Hotbox. So thank you, Malia. What's happening? So now, of course, I want to make the transition to time to kick some ass. So our first kick-ass moment is to choose life. I've said it in a lot of different ways today. Make the choice, make it a priority, make it something that you want to make happen. Choose to change, choose to engage, choose to make a difference. I want you to choose to make things happen, to be aware, to be present, to be a part of it. If today were the last day that you had to do what you're doing right now, would you be doing what you're doing in this moment? How could you make things happen? How could you release energy and give us all that you've got? The second is to capitalize on resources. And so whether that's utilizing your business partners or community resources, your conferences, your education, your podcasts. And one thing that Toby said that I absolutely loved is human beings are coming together, get us all working together from the same song sheet or singing the same song. And I just love that. The idea of how can we be culturally working and aligned and utilizing the things that we have already in place. The third is network. Utilize networking, get on boards, get out there, those cocktail parties that are super awkward where you're holding your glass of wine, standing with the person that you came with. Branch out, walk up to somebody and say, hey, I'm this person and I want to chat. I seriously doubt anybody that's there is going to be like, who's this random coming up? I mean, even if they do, like, you just, what's the worst that could happen? The fourth is to train the young talent. Recognize that puppies pee. Do what you got to do to take the time to train the young talent because it will help in the future and it will help the organization long term. It may seem like a lot of time in the moment, but go after it. And if you are the young talent, ask for training, ask for the conversations, ask for people to show you how to make things happen. And the final one for us to kick ass is to celebrate. I really think that life is a pretty damn special thing that we have, and we should enjoy doing it. At our office, I, as you know, do organizational development consulting for a firm called Mitchell Stankovic. And at our offices here in town, we have a vinyl record player. And last Friday, we just brought in all sorts of different vinyls and kind of pulled the plug about 4:30 or 5 and said, what are we going to do? We're just going to listen to some good rock music and some original Led Zeppelin and some other Eagles and other bands there on vinyl, and just enjoyed the moment and enjoyed each other's company and enjoyed life and celebrated a little bit of all the hard work that we had put in for the week. And so I urge you to do that, to be a part of that. So kick some ass. There's your 5 steps. So I want to thank you for being a part of the first ever Strategic Hotbox. It is exciting to be here talking to you, and I look forward to having many a conversation in the future. Thank you again to Toby Kennedy for being here and giving us insights in the organizations that he's working with. We'd love to hear from you on topics that you'd like to tackle here at the Strategic Hotbox. So share thoughts with us and questions on Twitter, Instagram. It's at Brandi LiLV, BRANDILUV. And just so you know, that's actually my real name, Brandi LiLV. I am totally a child of the 70s and the hippies, and when everybody was, making love and hanging out and listening to those Led Zeppelin vinyls for real, right? So it's at Brandi LiLV. Or you can email us at podcast@strategichotbox.com. Be sure to add the show to your favorite RSS feed to keep the episodes, and we'll just keep rocking them and bringing them your way. Or you can download them at the strategichotbox.com anytime. And if you need any ongoing access to leadership development exercises, tools, ideas, you could always pick up a copy of my new book. It's called The Strategic MVP, and I co-wrote it with Mark Thompson. And it's available at any book retailer, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. So thank you very much again for being a part of this. Until next time, go kick some ass.